Okay, fifth grade, so today we are making our owls. You are going to be given a slab of clay. It should already be as thick as you need it to be. Then you're gonna have a circle that you're gonna trace for the body of your owl. I have knives that you can use, but I just like these little needle tools for cutting. So I'm just gonna trace around that circle. And then I'll have these extra pieces. All right, so then you're left with a circle. Now, to start your owl, what you wanna do is start with his wings. So first, on both sides, we need to slip and score. So scoring is when you take something like a fork, or you can even do it with a needle tool. I think doing it with the fork is the quickest, but you're just going to scratch some texture into your clay. So I'm doing it on both sides because this is where our wings are gonna be. Then you'll have a little jar full of slip. Slip is just wet, really wet clay, kind of soupy almost like clay. I'm gonna get one of these little wooden tools and just scoop some of that up. You want it to be pretty wet, and just apply that to where you just scratched that up. You don't want a whole lot. It's kind of like glue. You don't want it to ooze out, but you want just enough for it to hold. So then I'm gonna take my edges and I'm gonna fold those in for my owl's wings. I'll do the same on this side. Now you might have a little bit of texture on the back side of your clay from your canvas. If you like that texture, you can leave it. I kind of like to smooth things out, so it kind of helps if you get your finger just a little bit wet, and that will make it super easy. I like to smooth out any weird lumps from my fingers kind of folding it over, and like I said, that kind of texture from the underneath side of the clay. Then we need to actually score up here as well, because now we're gonna fold this part down for his head. So I'm gonna kind of score up here, even kind of onto the tops of the wings a little bit. Now I'm gonna get some more slip. Again, you don't want so much it's gonna ooze out once you fold it over, but enough to hold it in place. So then you're gonna pull up the top part and go about halfway down, about like that. Then you're gonna press. We don't want to flatten it like a pancake. We're just kind of pushing those parts that we scored together. So if you think about it, if it was just two flat surfaces that you're gluing together, they might want to pop apart once they start to dry. But if you kind of scratch up those surfaces and you put liquid between them, they'll kind of meld together and try to hold on to each other a little bit more. So we're just kind of pushing them into each other. Then I'm gonna get my finger a little bit wet again because I have that texture on the back side, and I'm gonna smooth that out because I like for everything to be super nice and smooth. But also, owls have this little, they're not ears, they're kind of like a little collection of feathers at the top of their heads. And I like to kind of pinch, not too much, we don't want them to look like horns, but I like to just kind of pinch these little corners to kind of give it more of that shape of an owl. Okay, so that is all we're gonna do for folding it up. Now we just need to add our details. So, first thing you can do is with one of those extra pieces, you can cut out your beak for your owl. So your beak for your owl is pretty simple. It's just a triangle. So I'm just gonna cut a pretty good sized triangle. See if that's the size I want. I actually think that's pretty perfect, but of course, if you need it to be bigger or smaller, you can always cut out another one. I'm going to score where I'm gonna put my beak, and then I'm also gonna score on the back side of my beak. Now, I know it's pretty easy to want to skip the scoring, and every single year there's always people that skip it. And I'll tell you, I know which people skip slipping and scoring, because those are the people whose little beaks pop off, whose owls start falling apart. If you are not slipping and scoring, it will not hold together the way you want it to. So that is really the most important part of clay projects, is slipping and scoring. So I'm gonna press that down, and again, I like to just make sure everything is super, super smooth and nice. It's okay if it kind of hangs off his face a little bit. Then I'll have some kind of tools around for you to help make your owl. So I'm gonna use, it's actually a tape. Tape used to be wrapped around it, a little Scotch tape. And I'm gonna use this to make my eyes. So I'm gonna set this down and press it. So it'll give me two, there we go, two circles inside of each other. It looks like it pressed one side a little bit more than the other, so I'm gonna go back and press that side a little bit more. There we go. Then I'm gonna do another one on this side. Perfect. Then I kind of have these little marker caps to do this circle for the very center of his eye. So this is like his pupil, and then this part will be his iris, and this will be the white of his eyes. Then you can add some texture on his body for kind of like feathers. So you can do this before you put your owl together. It's almost a little bit easier if you kind of do this part before you put your owl together, but it's okay to do it now as well. I'm using one side of my marker lid. So I'm not pressing it flat down. I'm kind of pressing it down at an angle. So it's not making a full circle. It's kind of making almost like a half circle on my owl. And it makes it kind of look like little feathers. And now you can kind of see why I say if you want to do this part before you even put your owl together. So imagine your circle still being open and kind of just filling up the inside of your circle with some kind of texture for feathers before you even put it together. You can do that. It's a little bit easier, but you can still do it now too. Now you can do the marker cap, or I'll have a couple of other things that you can use to make texture as well. If you just want to take a needle tool and carve it in to make little texture for feathers, that's fine too. I don't have them right here with me, but I have little square kind of long blocks that kind of same thing with the marker cap. Instead of pressing the entire square down flat, I press it at an angle, so instead of making a square, it kind of just makes a little triangular shape. So you can kind of do something like that as well. Then on the wings, you need to have some kind of detail. So I think on the wings, I might keep them kind of simple, and then maybe when we go to paint, after we've fired them the first time, when we go to paint these, maybe I'll paint kind of a cool design on them. So I think maybe I'll just keep it pretty simple with just some straight lines drawn with my needle tool. So when you're adding your texture and things like that, that's when you get pretty creative with how these look. You can kind of make these look your own. I know there's gonna be some of you that ask if you can put little eyelashes. Of course you can. Makes them look so cute. All right, guys, so this is a one-day project. We have one day to put these together, which is plenty of time for these. These don't take a whole lot of time. Just make sure that you are really, really slipping and scoring, making these super, super nice. Like I said, also kind of smoothing things out as you go will keep them looking super, super nice. But yeah, this is what we're making today, and after we fire them, then we will go back and paint them, okay? I can't wait to see how your owls turn out.